we're live streaming just so that everybody knows.
Yeah, he said he'd be there at 9 as well. Kind of nice.
Yeah.
But he says that has to wait. I haven't used mine, and I have the first one.
And something of where was that? I think they should all wear the same color. That's too funny. I like the idea of what somebody said, you know, just even doing a collage and taking all the individual portraits, just doing that as one council. I don't care.
Yeah. She is just strong enough to was. It's the way she moved up the hours. Yeah, and then when I do my round day. That's my great thing. Oh, that's it too, yeah.
Call meeting to order at 6:08 p.m. Need to adopt the agenda.
And I do have an addition to the agenda, Mr. Mayor. So under 13.1 closed session, we call land matter. I'd like to add to the agenda.
Okay, so 13.1 land matter added. Any other? Okay. I see we have a delegation to the year.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, delegation, sorry. Motion, Mr. Campion, yes. All in favor? Carried. And I see we have a delegation today. Sergeant Romeo, is that correct?
It's Sergeant Rimo.
Rimo, okay. Sorry about that.
No,
With a name like Bobachuk, I'm pretty used to having it messed up, so. Perfect.
So Ryan, take the floor. I can do a little bit of an introduction. So Ryan's here. We use the word temporarily as the detachment commander with Sergeant Spurley relocating. So I will turn it over to Sergeant Liu. He did provide some statistics, and certainly he'll provide an update on the detachment. And if you have any questions in particular, either to the statistics or anything else RCP related, I'm sure you'd be pleased to answer.
Thank you. So I am located south of Brooks, so I'm expected to commute daily back and forth. So I lose 3 hours of my workday driving. And of course, that eats up some of my workday and getting things done. However, I'm the only available NCO in this entire southeastern corner right now. So yes, Sergeant Spurley moved on. I'm here. I have over 28.5 years of service with the RCMP, and I have a couple of years with Toronto PD, so I'm over 30 years of service. I can do pretty much everything and anything that's expected of a nurse. The third quarter or the second quarter report that you received, that's your typical quarterly reporting. I'll let you look at the stats. I'm not going to go through them. There's nothing outstanding that's glaring and very alarming, but if there is something, you can ask me. I have no problem. There's some other statistics that I have provided to CAO O'Neill that focuses specifically on the town of Hanna, and I know as council, that's what you're really interested in. The other statistics that are provided, that's for the entire Hanna jurisdiction for policing. So you'll get Youngstown, you'll get Pollockville, you'll get on the highway, all that other stuff. So it doesn't provide a true snapshot of criminal activity or policing for your town. And that's what I gave to CAO O'Neill. He'll pass that along to you, but I'm going to delve in a little bit more. As I said, this quarter was pretty much a quiet quarter. COVID was still happening. We weren't fully open. We were starting to, so this is July, August, and September. And generally, the criminals, they were happy sitting at home getting paid. So criminal activity was pretty much quiet. Other than that, the detachment numbers, so police officers, boots on the street, that's what everyone likes to see. That's what people want to see. It was good for that quarter. Moving forward, we have lost trend. So that process for a permanent replacement has started and it's completed the closing date for the promotion process. That was October 20th. So whoever has applied for the position, that process is now going forward. The promotions unit will examine all the applications. Then there's a selection process. Then whoever is selected, they have up to 1 year to sell their primary residence and move to this location. So you might see me a few more times before. Any questions so far? No? Okay. As for the most current, up-to-date information attached, because I can't truly speak to this quarter other than the numbers. I wasn't here, Trent was here. There was a couple of search warrants done on residents for drugs, and there was also a vehicle stop that resulted in drugs being apprehended, so charged related. So there was an impact during these 3 months on the drug trade. We're always looking forward to doing something like that, and that's what we're supposed to do. Arrest people and enforce the law. Traffic violations were toned down a bit. I understand there was some history with that, and that's over and done with. The officers know what to do. Currently, right now, so there's myself, and there are 3 local Hanna officers, and we have what's called a reservist who's been brought in because the 4th Hanna officer has gone off on paternity leave for a short period of time. He'll be back in December. So you still have 4 officers here working. They're working their shifts, they're being on call, being called out, they're doing what needs to be done. So you are receiving the full allotment of officers in the service provided. We do have a cadet identified for Constable Holland who left in the beginning of October. She resigned from the RCMP and moved back to Halifax, where she joined the Halifax Police. So the cadet will be arriving in end of December, and so that'll add to the complement here as well. And that's pretty much it that I could speak to right now, unless you have any specific questions.
Well, I guess being in the industry, I'm in, copper thefts are up in the area again.
Yep. Copper price, as you know, it's gone up. They're valuable. It was pretty quiet there. Like I worked out of the Sano office, not doing general duty stuff. I worked for Southern Alberta District, but I had a pretty good idea of what calls they were going to. Copper theft sort of quieted down, and now it's picking up. Our intelligence analysts are doing weekly or bi-weekly reports, and we know who's responsible for these. And these individuals are now cycling out of jail. So we expect the continuation of increased copper thefts to occur because these are the same group of people going to do the same crimes and the same methods. They know the area. They know what needs to be done to get the copper out of the ground and out of the building and whatever. However, one thing that has been a positive is the province has changed the way you go and dispose of copper. You have to register, just like if you're going into a pawn shop, hey, here's a TV, I'll give you $50 for it. Well, we got to see some ID, so we write it down, so then it can get checked back and say, oh, well, this TV with this serial number was stolen. Oh, well, Johnny Dirtbag, he's the one who brought it in, so now we know who. Copper is now being reported and reported like that. So that's very helpful for us. And that's the province doing it. So they listened and they brought that legislation forward. Yes.
Are there any changes in the judicial system as far as the criminals that are? You guys do all the work to get them away,
Yep.
and they just keep
Well,
involved.
We do the investigation, we arrest, we charge. After that point, it's out of our hands. The Crown Prosecutor and Alberta Justice, there is talk of some sort of change, but I'm not privy to that. There's no.
No sounds of it coming soon.
Nothing. That's a totally different area.
When he's back from maternity leave, does that mean we lose that reserve position?
Yeah, the reservist returns. He's filling in on that shift schedule line. So he's gone, and then we'll have our member back. So yeah, so there'll be 4 officers, and then the recruits starting in December, which generally will indicate one of those four, whoever's the most senior in here will then transfer, move on. That's it.
Are you, two questions actually, are you on duty coming and going from Brooks?
Yes, they have to do that for me.
Okay, and also what is the jurisdiction, like how far east, west, south, north are you actually?
Okay,
Are you
so
guys working?
south, right to the Red Deer River. North, you're going quite a fair way, but the border is all, it's a jagged. I can get that information to
I'm
you.
just curious, like past Castor or not as
No,
far? as
about
Castor?
24 miles north end.
Okay,
Yeah, and it's like we border on so many different other police jurisdictions as well, but physically, geography wise, Hanna has a very large area in comparison to other detachments. Anything else? Okay.
Just to, don't want to let you off that easy. No, just a comment for new council as Sergeant Lou indicated. So the statistics in the package are for the detachment. So I did get an email late this evening of statistics that are Hanna, town of Hanna only. So I will, after the meeting tomorrow, I will share that with you, and those statistics will be specifically just for the town of Hanna. So,
It's a much better picture for what you've seen in what's happening in town. So, again, for trends, one snapshot doesn't indicate a trend. Obviously you gotta have multiple comparisons. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get our assistant to pull it, and then I'll send all the quarters for 2021 moving forward. So then you can see, okay, January, February, March was this, April, May, June is this. Now you got July, August, September. Okay, well, why do we have B&Es keep going up, and then a sharp drop? Well, because generally breaking and enters and thefts are committed by drug users, and we arrest some drug people or something like that, or we chase them out of town. It's just something like that, that makes it at least more educational for everyone, an understanding of how it happens. Yes, ma'am.
So the drug situation is on the decline, or they're just
Well,
being
yeah, we
replaced
did it
by-
during this it impacted the
Right.
meth distribution.
But do you see that kind of being a long term, or they're just waiting for others to come back in and replace it?
It's supply and demand. If there's a demand, someone will fill the void with the supply. Unfortunately, and that's why we have to always be ever vigilant. There's the same core group of people that are selling and buying. You guys aren't out at night on Friday night at 1 o'clock, outside doing crime, because that's not your lifestyle. There's a certain group of people that do that, and that's just the way it is.
Nothing further? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you,
Need a motion.
and I'll let you guys have it.
Dave, we need a motion to accept the report. Council thanks Sergeant Will, Captain Commander, and for the presentation. These statistics at the update and the activities in the Canada detachment. Motion. Senator B. All in favor? Carries.
Thank you. And one other thing, just like my first name, my last name sounds different too. So the easiest way to remember is pronounced Low. So tall guy, that's Low. Sorry about that. Thank you.
I'll get it right eventually.
That's okay.
Great. Next is the library.
someone up, Kathleen. So for those, even our previous council, probably first time to meet you, Kathleen, I'm gonna guess, and my memory is sometimes bad, 6 weeks-ish, 2 months?
7 weeks going on.
Okay, so Kathleen's been here as the director for about the last 7 weeks, so we'd like to bring her here to, she's got some information and statistics on Hanna Library.
We did
send out a PowerPoint that you guys got as well. Or not. And at any point, if you have questions, please stop me. So thanks for having me here. So as a Hanna Municipal Library, we are offering free library membership to continue to play a key role in financially strengthening our community. We provide free access to Wi-Fi and computers, which allows individuals to seek out employment opportunities. Our online resources also offer platforms to help individuals expand their skills and job applications. Additionally, our patrons have electronic access to programs that help easily build professional resumes. So libraries enhance the personal quality of life by providing everyone with a full range of information resources to live, learn, govern, and work. Additionally, libraries help individuals develop the skills they need to survive in today's society, whether it be literacy, learning how to use a computer, or health information and services. Furthermore, with generous support of local organizations like the Hanna Wellness Network, the library was able to create a collection of unique items for loan called Library of Things to enhance quality of life and learning opportunities. The Library of Things collection gives patrons the opportunity to borrow unique items like snowshoes without the financial investment. So our library is a vital to the community as a public living room, a safe community space where everyone is welcome, regardless of age, politics, religion, or financial situation. Libraries are a space where everyone is welcome. A safe haven for kids when school is not in session, offering after-school homework to help games and book clubs. We offer community classes, enabling older adults to stay engaged in the digital world. Book models and community outreach programs keep those living in remote areas for those who are homebound connected to the larger community. Additionally, we all remember the heat waves we had in Atlanta this summer. The Hanna Municipal Library was able to serve as a cooling center, a free place where people come open to the public and relax and get away from the heat. So investing in the library is investing in the rural community resilience. Libraries help communities come together to learn, share, celebrate where we live, who we are, and what we want to become. Currently, the library has 2 full-time committed parents and staff members to welcome everyone to the library in person, on the phone, and online. The funding provided by the Young Canada Workers Program, we are also temporarily hired 3 enthusiastic students to our summer reading to run our summer reading club. This funding also allowed us to temporarily hire an intelligent and motivated student to assist with circulation of materials and interact with patrons. We have 10 dedicated volunteers who are currently furloughed due to COVID, and 7 board members who volunteer their time to govern our library. So everyone is welcome to browse our collection of over 18,000 items, and over 3.2 million items are available through TrackPack and Marigold and the online catalog. We provide access to free Wi-Fi and computers, which allows patrons to use the internet, Microsoft Office, and numerous other software. Additionally, we're offering printing, scanning, faxing, and lamination services. We're taking the vaccine cards and lamination books currently free for the public. So as a member of the Marigold Library System, the Hanna Library is able to provide patrons access to over 20 different online resources, from ebooks, audiobooks, newspapers, and magazines, and music. Community members don't have to visit the library in person to access entertainment and other materials. So on slide 5, we have pictures of some of the activities that we did this summer. So picture 1 is Valentine's for Vets. So this year, the Hanna Municipal Library took part in the Valentine's for Vets initiative, which distributes Valentine's to veterans and care facilities across the country. So the second picture there is the Story Walk. So Story Walk is a program combining reading, movement, and nature. Our library had the opportunity to share 3 story walks with our community this year. In February, families enjoyed trudging through the snow to read This Is the Rake Where Jack Plays, written by Stella Sparkano's Grasslight. In June, children could be seen running and laughing and running from page to page to see what the duck would say next. And the duck says, written by Troy Wilson. And illustrated by Mike Gould. Then in September, students in JC Chark School had the first chance to experience the adventures within Get Me Another One, written by Robert Munch. On slide 6, we have continuation of some of the programs we run. So our summer reading club Our summer reading program ran multiple programs for children in our community. One of the more popular programs was the life-size creation of a board game, Candyland. And then, as mentioned earlier, the Library of Things, libraries fortunate to partner with the Hanna Wellness Network to create Library of Things, which connects community members with unique items such as life jackets, snowshoes, insect catching kits, and much more. So in addition to our partnership with Maryville Library System, by sharing our space, platform, and people, we provide mutual support for many of our community organizations. We regularly partner with the Advanced Family Resource Network, GC Sharp School, the Hanna Learning Center, Project Reach, Hanna Museum, Hanna Wellness Network, and Hanna FCSS. So on slide 8, you can see some of the statistics we have in 2020. We had 414 library cards reviewed, 10,241 items borrowed, 11,811 items returned, 918 curbside pickup appointments, 2,000 plus phone calls, and we had 137 communications registered. So even with the roller coaster of COVID-19 restrictions over the past year, the Hanna Municipal Library has continued to provide youth and family programs. We've offered take-home kit crafts, story walk, and wonderfully an in-person teleprogramming this summer. We've had much feedback from some of the patrons. We welcome that we have the doors open. So one of the quotes on slide 10 that you can see is that in a smaller community like Hanna, we're able to form strong relationships with patrons. One such relationship allowed us to check in on an individual while they were home recovering and inquire if they needed any reading materials. At the beginning of every school year, we connect with the school to offer new library memberships and renew old ones. This one student had asked the parents to visit the library until the parents relented and did so. While visiting the library, the parents were surprised by all the changes by their recent renovations and stated they would definitely be back. The third one was about the library things. The community thought it was such a great idea. The community really liked the idea of being able to borrow items from the library rather than having to purchase an expensive item they may only use once or twice. And then due to COVID-19 restrictions in 2020, last year's summer reading program was forced to be online. We got lucky. We were able to offer an in-person summer reading program, which everyone involved was super excited about, staff and families included. Our summertime student workers offered excellent programs, some of which included string art, giant board games, and science experiments. So slide 11, the new normal. So between January and September, the library saw an average of 47 card renewals a month. Between January and September, the library averaged about 1,038 items borrowed a month. And then between January and September, the library averaged 1,222 items returned a month. Between January and March 15th and April 8th and June 15th, the library was not open to the public, but offered curbside pickup. Use of the service averaged 143 pickups per month. And then between March 16th to April 8th and June 15th to July 5th, the library was open to the public on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 11 till 4 and Thursdays from 11 till 6. And starting July 6th, the library was open Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11 till 4, Thursdays from 11 till 6, and Saturdays from 11 till 2. During the dates the library was open, the public was averaging of 355 individuals visiting. So the library works hard to make our dollars stretch and ensure the money is spent with the greatest impact. Our financials are audited annually, and the library board practices sound financial planning. However, the library has been operating in a deficit and will not sadly continue this way. So the continued ups and downs of the COVID-19 pandemic has shown that the community relies on the library as a critical community resource. We've also shown us where we can improve and build our capacity to excellent service. So in July, we reopened our doors with safety protocols in place. We had to reduce our hours from 46 per hour pre-COVID to 26 hours per week. This reduction in hours is in large part due to staffing difficulties. So prior to COVID-19, the library relied solely on volunteers to operate the front desk during open hours. Practice is no longer a standard in libraries. This introduction of limitations like tasks that volunteers can assist with has significantly impacted our ability to provide excellent services and programs to our community. In September, we averaged 7.5 visitors per open hour, and the community is asking for more. The Hanna Municipal Library is central in a rural town surrounded by farms and smaller communities, which greatly decrease the number of people who visit the library during the majority of open hours. One key way to increase the number of individuals that visit the library is by adding more morning and weekend hours. So our volunteers have been the backbone of the library. Even with the additional paid staff, will still be widely utilized in tasks, projects, and fundraisings without being asked to overstretch themselves. They will have the opportunity to share their passions and donate their time to the library in ways that best meet their needs and the needs of the community. Thanks to your guys' support from social areas and the community at large, the Hanna Library has immense potential with deep community partnership, newly invigorated space, and strong relationships. Now we need to step up and be able to meet this patch. So if you're on slide 14 with me, the town of Hanna residents make up about 81% of our active card holders and 82% of our circulation. And the town's ongoing and generous financial support of the library has reflected this. So we've had our projected cost for the 2021 year is $183,720. And the library is able to obtain $126,550 in income. So this created a deficit of approximately $50,000. So this is created with minimal staffing, minimal programming, and minimal additions to our capital. We are hopeful that such areas will recognize the importance of the library and increase their funding contributions to the library. But we are working to find other sources of revenue, including grants. We have and will continue to work hard to find alternative forms of funding through grants, fundraisers, and donations. Our lack of funding is having a serious impact on our continuing ability to serve our community. The library is very appreciative of the funding the council has provided to the library, both directly and in kind. We do not serve the community without your support. As the town council plans for 2022, we'd like to consider again allocating the same amounts from last year, which is $71,808. Much appreciated. So what would we do with this funding? With support from the town of Hanna and increased support from the special areas, the library would increase our hours of operation to meet community demand, provide more training to staff and board members, and expand programming to fill gaps in the community, particularly with isolated seniors and early literacy opportunities, as well as continue partnering with other organizations to provide great community events. So investing in the library is a smart use of taxpayer funds. For less than the cost of a hardcover book, we provide a wealth of reading materials, a Netflix membership worth of movies and TV shows, magazines and newspapers, subscriptions, and print and digitally, just to name a few of our offerings. Every item purchased in the library belongs to the community. Our programs are inclusive, open to all, and most are free. Additionally, provide lifelong learning opportunities. We offer community space to meet your neighbors and a platform to share your passions and talents with the community. We exist to support the community at every level and variety of literacy. Investing in the library benefits the whole community as well as a well-funded library raises surrounding property values, helps develop an intelligent workforce, making an area attractive for cutting-edge companies, and makes local social services more efficient. Additionally, by investing in the library, we invest in children and their futures. Libraries expose children to the wonders of books and reading, transporting them from the ordinary everyday world to the extraordinary imagining worlds created by authors and illustrators. Furthermore, research conducted in both the United States and Canada shows that for every $1 that communities invest in library services, they get 5 back. This data illustrates that public libraries, specifically the Hanna Municipal Library, is more than worth the investment. Lastly, libraries make a positive impact on communities by inspiring through discovery, collaboration, and creation, supporting intellectual freedom, ensuring accessibility, promoting literacy and lifelong learning, ensuring inclusivity, providing exceptional public service, and prioritizing transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility decision-making. On slide 19, you can just see some of the other programs and pictures that we ran. And I wanted to say thank you for the time and your ears for listening to this, and thank you. Any questions that I can help answer?
Kathleen, you indicated here that you had 47 renewals and 143 curbside pickups. So how many would that be in total of memberships to the library on a yearly basis? That we would have overall. Do you know that? Okay.
So you're referring to slide 8, correct?
Actually, I don't remember that, but 8 is the one I would be going to, yes. So 414 renewed and 137, which would equal about 551 memberships. Is that total memberships?
No, we have about 1,000 and some, I did up the totals for the graph. 1,000 members in the library at the moment. So we added 137 new patrons from the community at large. And one of the things with our statistics is that they're not all up to date due to online membership applications. So sometimes the area does not specify where they're from. And then we're finding more members coming back when they renew, they're renewing here, updating data, because oftentimes they're going to Drum Heller because they offer free memberships, totally free, and then they come here to use our services. By offering that to the community, then we're able to update that information and have more accurate data, who and where they're coming from, and supporting the community.
And so what initiatives do you guys have in place to promote memberships to your library locally? Do you,
We do through the school. We have one with the Hanna Learning Center when they do the gifts out to the new parents, as well as there is a pamphlet in the welcome kits within the community hub.
thank you.
Yes, I was wondering, you mentioned about volunteers, I think that they were on furlough for, due to COVID, and
Yes.
now they're back.
We're working on bringing them back, so there's, we have a couple steps that need to happen within the library, and we hope to have them back within the next couple of weeks.
So is that, based on marital guidelines, or
They
that
work,
volunteers were not able to, be used the same way as they have been in the past?
that was one of the things that came down from the government through the public service there, the municipal affairs, that there was a restriction on how things that were being done weren't accurate within the way they were expected. So that when the guidelines got updated in 2018, there was a change that didn't get passed on to the library and volunteers. So we're looking into researching that, contacting municipal affairs, and getting that information, the ball rolling, so we have the knowledge we need to bring the volunteers back in a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks, so these would be some of the ones that have been kind of the standard volunteers for the number of years that have carried the library.
Yes,
And so that will, should be able to increase your, the times of operation and services that you would offer as well.
it will and it won't, because there's certain things the volunteers won't be able to do when they come back to running front desk, where that is required by only white staff. They'll be able to have other things like shelving and fundraising and programming, and that will reduce some of the load on the staff members, but it won't make it a large enough involvement to increase extensively those hours.
There are several that are waiting
Yes.
to get the okay to come back. and they're very anxious. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Yeah.
Just as council may or may not be aware, I sit as a volunteer on that board. I know the chairman, Ricardo, who was hoping to be here to support the director as well. I can assure council that the library board met and they're wanting to bring volunteers back in every aspect that we possibly can, and they've given direction to our director to work with public libraries to see what the restrictions are and how we can then. We had operated quite a few years sort of under the radar, and they basically told us on no uncertain terms, there are thou shalt not. There's some of the things we were having our volunteers do, and it had to do with life and operation of the library. So we have to be very careful with that, but we also value the volunteers because we have some very key longstanding volunteers that we respect and want to have them back. And they did bring a lot of life to the library as well. So yeah, it's a difficult situation for sure.
One of the challenges, and correct me if I'm wrong, from public libraries branch was specifically people at the front counter is what was point, but they were dealing with people's personal information. So when they were filling out memberships, they had their phone number, their mailing address, stuff like that. And that was something that they felt volunteers should not have access to and be able to have access to. I look at it a little bit differently, but they're the ones who provide the directions and the guidance, and that's one of the changes that's impacted our volunteers significantly, is not being able to work at that front desk and take that type of information or have access to that type of information.
Would that be more of a rural urban thing, Kim?
Yeah, possibly. I know that it's a tough thing to get your head wrapped around when you're in a small town and you know who the person is taking the membership, but you should know what their box number is or any of that. You might know anyway. So it's a little bit of large versus small, definitely, and large is winning in this case.
And there's also the aspect of reading materials. People might not want you to know what reading materials are reading. I mean, that's, whether you're a nerd and you like to read all popular mechanics, people are very respectful of their own privacy, and that's part of it. And so it seems, but it's the FOIP issue and how far you go, so.
Oh, and that's people's perception are different than other people's perception, right? So. Any other questions, Kathleen?
Just,
Sorry.
expressive director's comments, that nerd, you looked at me.
I was kind of looking this way, but
As we go into budget times, you talked about deficits and how hard it's getting. Just to throw these, what we appreciate when you close with, we will ask for the same instead of increased funding. So thank you for that. And it's 7 weeks late, but welcome to the community.
Anyone else?
I would like to add one thing to Catherine's things, because I read that library app. Just for council's information, our library is the only library within our area that is not located within a school. So we went to the request to special areas to provide additional funding because we operate outside of the school. So every other community library operates within a school. And they are therefore subsidized through the school division in terms of their operation of their building. The town of Hanna has the operation of our facility as well as the funding. So that was the ask from the library board to special areas, and they're still in negotiation and talking with them. But they're very much aware that we're an oddity in our area, and therefore we kind of lose out on that. Now, we all know special areas is a very valued and good partner. We just want to look at how that can work. But it's a unique situation for sure.
Yeah, just wondering then, because they moved the library out of the school. Did they not?
There's still a school library, but just it's different.
What I'm getting at is then the school is being, they're utilizing the library at the existing site now.
Our library definitely partners with the school. The school does still have a library, just looks different than the one that we had for sure.
Yeah.
But our library does partner with the school and does work quite closely with the school in terms of bringing resources and books to the school and working with the students in the classrooms.
So do they provide additional funding then or no?
School division does not. Yeah, our library.
That was Councilor Bowden. That was one of the kind of recommendations through our meetings with special areas, was to maybe have the library board approach Hernan to see if they are able to make a financial contribution. Whether they can or can't yet to be determined, but they are making a financial contribution in a way to the other libraries because they are picking up that overhead cost of lighting, insurance, repairs and maintenance. So it is something that I think the library board is going to pursue to see if there is an avenue there.
Yeah.
And there's also a desire to see our library charge for memberships, but as our director indicated, it's difficult for us to charge for memberships in Hanna when people can go through the Marigold system and simply go to Drumheller, take out a membership and end up using our library anyways. They get a free membership, but lots of libraries across the province are waiving that fee. They find it encourages higher participation. So for us, it's a revenue of $4,000 a year for our memberships. To just double check with the director. So it's still a lot of money, but it's not going to make a break us, and we want to have those numbers reflected in our circulation, because to our knowledge, we still got the highest membership per capita in this area for sure. So we have very avid readers and users of our library.
And on that note, we see a lot of the outside community colonies and stuff that we're going to renew the memberships in Vermont and then coming here to get the services because it's closer. By offering that free membership, we're able to get their complete use of our services. So they're renewing here and they're able to get those stats and have that knowledge to go back to special areas and other places saying, these are actual numbers and this is what's happening.
And it's positive to get those people in our community. If they're in our community at the library, hopefully they're in our community, in our businesses and those types of things. So you don't want to lose, them. You want them here because of the spin-offs that can occur.
I do want to just mention real quick that I'm now a member of the library board. And we discussed earlier today that possibly I could approach speaking to the superintendent of the school board and see if it's something he'd be willing to see a presentation of. Is that something that would be good?
And I'm sure that the chair would be, I think I'm not sure if you met with the chair too.
No, it was just that I wasn't aware of the meeting last week, so we had a meeting today instead, so to speak to Mr. Ward. Yeah, we'll do that.
Anything else?
Yeah, question, is, what's the thing here?
The what?
Yeah, area.
Charlotte County.
Starland County?
Starland, yeah, has Starland ever been approached to help support this, or?
No, I don't believe that's anything that's in my knowledge. Is not
Delia has a library as well.
In the school.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the school.
The other challenge is, everybody's dollars tight. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be an idea to reach out to them. I know they do participate in our Hanna clinic with a small number that basically they determine from the east side of their county that would use our medical clinic. So they do provide some money there. So certainly would be something that, worst they can say is no. So.
Would the, you must have a record of how many live in Starland that use the library?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I
Keeping those
can
records.
produce that information. I don't have it on me currently.
Anyone else? Like a motion to thank Kathleen Morgan for the information and statistics provided in the 2021 presentation of the Hanna's Library.
I need that, Mr. Mayor.
Kyle, all in favor? Carrie? Thank you very much, Kathleen. That's,
Thank you for having me.
moving along.
So, Mr. Mayor, just a comment.
Yep.
This might help you a little bit too. So we are here, just so on our agenda, council, we have what we call public presentation. So basically, that is an opportunity for anyone who may be in attendance, who wishes to speak to council. They have an opportunity, whether it's an issue, a concern, an idea, etc. So it's hit and miss whether it's used or whether it's not. And as we've gone into COVID world and into virtual, I think, and moving place to place, we may have lost that a little bit. We do certainly promote that if anybody wishes to be on the agenda, to contact myself, and we can arrange for that. So just for your info, if you're talking to anybody and they say, well, I'd like to mention that to counselor, I'd like to talk to council about that, they can contact myself and be put on the agenda as a delegation, or they can show up and talk at this particular point in time. The message, though, is that council is here to listen, ask questions, get clarity, but don't expect that they're gonna make a decision on the spot. So I just, yeah, so it's just an opportunity. If someone say, well, I wish I could talk to council, we want to be open, we want to be transparent, so that opportunity is there in different forms. But if they want to, tell them to give me a call, stop in at the office, or if they don't necessarily want to, it's more spur of the moment. They can show up here on the second Tuesday at 6 o'clock and speak. No, that's me.
So council meeting agenda background information, recommendation motion that the minutes of the meeting of council October 12th be adopted as presented. And that the,
So this
sorry,
is
that's
two-
one
one
motion,
motion, yeah.
yeah. Motion. Kyle, Senator B, sorry. All in favor? That's in favor, Andrew, is that a head scratch?
You did the favor, then.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Sure.
the other thing, Mr. Mayor, just to try and get in the flow, so certainly try to remember to ask if there's any errors or omissions or
Okay.
changes that council may wish to the minutes.
Minutes of the organizational meeting of the council held October 26, 2021, be adopted as presented.
Question, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. As an alternative, at the organizational meeting, this was not indicated, but as an alternative to the committees that we sit on, do we go or do we only go in the absence of the designate? I have a few questions just in regards to that.
So if you're the alternate, you go if the appointed member cannot attend.
So we need to have communication between,
Yeah,
if they
so-
can't go, then it's their obligation to let the alternative know.
Correct, yeah. So if you're the alternate on a board and that board member has a meeting date set and they can't make it for whatever reason, they should reach out to you as the alternate, and then hopefully you're able to attend.
Councilor Crowe?
So, like, as an alternate, can you not attend a meeting so you know what is going on? Like, more so than relying on the representative to pass that word on, you know, like what's going on?
Councilor Cole, I think it depends on the board. Some boards are okay with that. Some boards, based on their size and their numbers, don't necessarily want to. And I know it's a difficult thing then if you're an alternate. I think you have to rely, in the interim, you have to rely on your member to, if he's not able to attend the meeting, he should be able to brief you on what's on the agenda and what's upcoming at minimum, that, so you have a little bit of a head start going here.
Just in the past, with what you asked there, Councilor Kroll, you can come to the meeting, but only the representative of the town is the one that gets paid. So you do for nothing.
Councilor Ward?
Just given that circumstance, I just would like to know, do we have a rules of order that we follow for council meetings?
Follow our council procedural bylaw.
Is that a book that has rules and regulations on how meetings are laid out, when you can abstain, when you can make a motion?
It governs how we run our meetings.
Okay, and so can I ask where we can get that? Do you have a book? Do we have a
It
book?
should be in your binder.
It's in the big
It's in the
binder.
binder?
It's in the binder. The other thing, just, I know you mentioned the word abstain. Council cannot abstain from voting.
No.
The only way you do not vote on anything is if you have a conflict of interest or pecuniary interest. And pecuniary interest basically means that decision before you could financially impact your family, yourself or your immediate family. That's really the only pecuniary interest. I know I get this question a lot in a small town. If someone sits on the Hanna Golf Club board, can they vote for, as a council member? Yes, they can, because unless that decision is going to directly impact them financially, they're able to vote. And that happens in a small town because people have many different hats they wear. But the only time you do not vote is when you call a pecuniary interest on a decision that would either would directly financially impact you and or your immediate family.
Good. Perfect, thanks. Okay, so again, we'd like to adopt the minutes of the organization meeting council, October 26th, the adoption was in there.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Yeah, that's Warwick. All in favor? Carried. Law. Finance report documents, not finance reports. Everybody taking a peek at them.
Keeps going now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm getting there, buddy.
Yeah.
So we basically need a recommendation that the council accepts account payable listings, general account check number 41926 to 41968, direct deposits of 000602 to 000664. Before we call for a motion on that, I go in and review and ask questions, a lot of questions, as regards to what things are and so on and so forth. If there's something that you don't understand or would like to inquire about, some pretty good information. I won't lie to you, I asked a silly question. We had $21 worth of gas at Parkland Fuels, which happens to be fast gas. And we went, why are we buying $21 worth of gas at Parkland? And Kim explained it to you. It's a premium fuel. It ran with our small equipment runs better on, but it was just one of the little things that popped into my head going, for us to process an invoice for $26 costs a lot of money. And so then with some of the bigger ticket items that I questioned a little bit. And like I said, for me, it was kind of an eye opener as to process and so on and so forth. So if you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to ask and provide some information. So can I get a motion to accept that, please?
Mr. Mayor, before the motion, are we able to ask any of those questions tonight? Or do we have to ask them at a different time?
No, certainly you can ask them this tonight. There's different options. You can certainly ask them tonight, no questions about that. And or if you would prefer, you've got a question and you prefer to talk one-on-one with me, to come in and say, hey, I saw that payment for so-and-so, can you tell me what that was for? That's certainly an option as well. But if you have any questions on specific things, certainly you can ask them tonight.
Mr. Mayor, what we did in the past, and I've known council for 11 years, we've generally put it out with the accounts payable. If you have questions and that on it, they sometimes advise, like recommend that you get a hold of the CEO the day before the council meeting, discuss it or something. The reason for that being, if we all come here with 10 different questions on 10 different numbers on this thing, we don't get the council meeting in 4 hours. So,
Yep.
it helps if you.
Well, and with the exception of this one, we'll have our organizational meeting prior to, and so, yeah, we'll have this information there.
But certainly I don't want that to stymie anybody. If they have any questions, either before or during, please note, your questions aren't going to be, well, we're not gonna pay that invoice because they've already been paid. You're accepting the report for information, but you as a council have every right to know if you want to know who a check payment to Rocky Mount Phoenix was for. But as Council Campion said, especially for new councilors, you might have questions on a lot of these because they're totally new to you, and you don't get a ton of description of what they're for. So certainly don't be shy to ask the questions. A lot of them you will see returning month to month because we'll have a lot of the same vendors, a lot of the same things, but, and if there's anything that's generally out of the ordinary, I would certainly try to remember to bring it to your attention during the meeting, so.
Any other questions? Okay. So we need a motion to accept the council payable for general accounts checks number 41926, 41968, and direct deposits 0000602 to 0000664 for information. Council Campion, all in favor? Carried. The budget, the budget is a huge thing. I spent about 4 hours today between customers looking at the budget, and it's a very, what do you call it, overwhelming, assuming any other good ones. And it's very almost hard to follow at times, but I'm sure that Kevin and I will get a much better education as to how some of the items are. But I'm sure, I hope everyone took a quick peek at it, and so yeah. Statement of review and expenses, you need to accept the revenue and expense report for October 2021 for information.
I give you that.
And Council Olson.
So, Mr. Mayor, just again, I'll just interrupt here briefly. So it is daunting information, for new councilors to come in to try and grasp and understand it. I'm hoping as we move through the budget process, there'll be a bit of an education, and some of those categories will be a little better explained and a little better understood. But I guess my comment to you as councilors on this document as well is, if you have questions and you want to sit down with me and basically go through it a little bit more, identify areas of questions that you have. What does this mean? What does this represent? Certainly I will make time to sit down there and go through it, because I want you to have the best understanding you can. It will take a little bit of time, and it will take some time working through the budget, but if there are some burning questions when you look through it, you go, Kim, this doesn't make sense to me, please come in and see me, and I'll try and do my best to explain it to you. So it is a little overwhelming, just throwing this at you, and when you haven't even gone through a budget, but you'll get it, you'll figure it out, and it'll come quick, but I am available if you want to have any specific questions.
Never said that years ago.
We're a little bit slower than you were, so we have to learn, so.
Yeah, well, he said something about new ones not understanding this. He left out another group too.
It is very daunting, Council Olson.
Just a question, the streets and roads revenue expense, there was revenue of 616,000 budgeted, but nothing is at MSI.
Yeah.
And is it normally this late?
Sometimes the challenge, Counselor Olson, is if we haven't put forward an application that will expend that money, we don't get it. Okay. So it'll just be, they'll just hang on to it until such time as we make an application that we need those dollars. Then they will, they're getting to hang on to their dollars a little bit more than just annually giving
And
them
it pays
out.
extra with interest, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the case, and we may not even see that this year, but when we go through the audit and the year-end audit, the auditor will identify in there deferred revenue from the province of Alberta. So that's money owed to us by them, but they basically wait until we put an application in that to expend the dollars, and then they'll provide it to us.
So that is our money then, it's not.
It's ours, yeah, it's ours. MSI is our money. It's allocated annually, given to us annually, but only once we committed a project that we will get that dollars.
Mr. Mayor, I got another question. I'm just curious, do we have budget meetings where we sit and we divulge the budget process and what's in there? Or we just take this home, we figure it out, all 6 of us take separate times, calling Kim and spending several hours with Kim, and then from then, there we go into accepting the budget and what's in it?
So, Councilor Warwick, this is not the budget. It's close to the budget. This is a statement of revenues and expense. The budget was in your package, the 21 budget. So later on, I can't remember what number, but one of our items for business tonight is to set budget meeting dates. So then the process will be, we set those dates, we will go through. The first meeting is generally, you unfortunately have to listen to me for 3 hours, go through and try and point out the highlights, point out things that maybe as a new council member you won't be aware of. Then you'll get your budget and you'll get it that day. You go home, you get a chance to review it, look through it, identify your areas of questions, concerns, and then over the next 2 meetings that we have, those items and that discussion happens, and hopefully by the end of the 3rd meeting, we've got our budget that we move forward with, so. And I do believe that budget process will be very educational as we move forward too, so.
So we need a motion on 6.
Yes, 603 too. Just vote on 602.
We never voted on it.
Sorry, all in favor of 602? All in favor, yeah. Carrie, sorry. Council accepts the budget overview for the 2021 for information motion. Right. Also, Campion, all in favor?
Yeah, don't, just, and again, sorry to interrupt, but the budget overview, again, is basically takes that larger statement of expenditures, revenue and expenditures, and consolidates it. So it takes that 14-page and drops it into 4 or 5 pages. So it's literally the same information, just presented in a different manner. So again, if you have any questions on it and want to understand it better, don't hesitate to reach out.
All in favor? Carried. What's next? Budget meeting dates?
No, not quite.
Oh, not quite, sorry.
7.
Oh, yeah.
7.
So excited for budget.
Community service report, sorry about that. Community service reports, sorry about that. Community services board. Minutes of meeting. Has everyone had a chance to peruse through that? Okay.
Director Snow, what is the community marquee rollout?
It's a fancy name for a block party trailer, but it will be equipped with stages. We'll have kits for ages and stages, so to speak. So we'll have equipment that will work for seniors. We'll have equipment that will work for families. And it'll be an event marquee. It'll come with a marquee tent, table, heaters, I believe some games, some larger games, and that's to promote community unity and outdoor activities. So we did apply through Town of Hanna Wellness Network for this funding. We were eligible, we were successful in receiving $25,000. That will get us the trailer that we can, similar to our chair trailer, that we can stock it, have it supplied, and then we'll roll it out to community events and functions. We're still working on the criteria because it will be housed and owned by the town. So we'll want to make sure that when it comes back and we're monitoring it, that everything's still in place and in good shape, but it's definitely a great community to community events and activities. And we're looking at things that bring people together. As I said, sort of ages and stages kits. There might be something more for preschool, something more for family events, something more for senior events. It's quite exciting. It's good news for our community. Thank you.
Else?
So motion.
Yeah. Need a motion, council accepts the following community report, or community services board meeting dated October 25th, 2021. Murphy. All in favor? Carried. Administrator Watson, that's you.
That's me. So, Mr. Mayor, generally what we do is you have a report from the directors and myself here. Some will speak more to it than others. But at the end of the day, if anybody has any questions on any of the particular reports provided, please feel free to ask them. So I usually get to lead it off. So, Mr. Mayor, I will start. Just a couple of updates. So the demolition project, if you are aware, they did move into 206 Fox Lake Trail today and have most of that done. So the three smaller buildings have been completed. Our goal tomorrow is to provide the fill that they need to fill in the excavation, and that should be hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow pretty much wrapped up and ready to go. The Seymour will be, I'm guessing, somewhere in the neighborhood of about another 10 days. It looks like OH&S is going to provide the Section 34 exemption. So that means that not all of the hazard material will have to be removed because of the safety of the building for people to be in it. They are looking at doing it, and I know it will disappoint the community. They want to do it fairly low key, quiet, because the challenge is there is potential hazardous material that will be disturbed. We will have a water truck or a fire truck on hand to, as part of the process, will be to wet the material. So we're hoping that it's about 10 days away. It'll really depend right now on OH&S's final approval. They indicated to the contractor that it should be received either late this week or early next week, and then they'll mobilize to get in and take that one down. The Seymour will be a little bit later. We'll be into December-ish timeframe with it, but it doesn't need water, so it can come down even if it's cold out. So a little bit of update there on the demolition project. Other than that, I did include for council as an attachment the Alberta Provincial Police Services Transition Study. So just the executive summary. It is a 162-page document if you really want to read it. I know those members who've been on council have had numerous copies of letters from other municipalities voicing their support for the RCP and not wanting to transition to the Alberta Police, Provincial Police Service. The report was finally released. So those of you who are at AUMA, it will probably be a significant topic of discussion amongst fellow council members. And it's been on the table for quite some time. So if you want to read up on it, I know it will be discussed significantly there. The other thing, just to bring to attention those people who are going to be at AUMA. So we do have a meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs on the Wednesday at 1:40 PM. We have 15 minutes. The items that we put forward to talk to the minister about is the continuation or importance of the municipal sustainability initiative, so MSI, to us. As we discussed with previous councils, and you guys will begin to know and learn the excessive cost of dealing with derelict properties. You know, in a small town, we want to certainly put that on their radar. And the other one that's always been a bit of a pet peeve with Mayor Warwick when we put it on was grants in place of taxes. So the province used to provide us with a grant in lieu of taxes. They've reduced that to 50% now. And I know that that's an issue. I know it's a way for the province to save money, but it's a tough argument to other taxpayers in the community when you say, well, this is what you should be paying for taxes. This is what your assessment is. This is what you should be paying for taxes. They can't come to us and say, we're only paying 50%. But the province, being our governor, has the ability to say that. So just those are 3 items that we've want to throw at them. 15 minutes will be quick. So just want you to identify that and be prepared to attend. I think Councilor Bowden has a question.
Yes, regarding the sense of cost of their building, isn't there also an issue as far as the owners of these derelict buildings, that how to handle them, and just the fact that we have to follow
Municipal affairs, MGA.
municipal
Yeah.
affairs in dealing with derelict property owners and the ones that are basically abandoning the building and leaving it. We have to follow the same guidelines as the larger centers,
Yeah.
where there's actually value in that property, where there isn't in rural areas. And is that not also an issue as well?
Yeah, and that's part of the discussion, Councilor
As far as
Bowden,
the okay,
will be-
costs as
will
well
be the
as.
fact that if we tear down a building, for example, and it's costing us $100,000, in the town of Hanna, that lot might be worth $10,000 or $15,000. Well, if you're in the city of Calgary or city of Edmonton, that lot might be still worth $150,000. So,
But it could be dealt with earlier if there was a different way to handle the property owners that were forced to do something with that building.
Yeah, and that's-
before it got to the
yeah.
point of.
that's all kind of part and parcel of that discussion. I know it'll be quick, and I'll prepare a briefing document and we'll leave it with him. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that council was aware that that was an opportunity that we had.
It would be nice to have a different way of doing it for rural centers, that are
Yeah.
smaller, who are all in the same boat.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're not just gonna approach it from the town of Hanna, we're gonna approach it from small rural municipalities.
Thank you.
So I think that's it, Mr. Mayor, unless anybody has any questions on my report.
I actually had a question, I apologize, on the 206 Fox Trail. There's a couple of structures on there, I believe it was a carport type. And some trees and branches and stuff that are actually on a neighbor's property.
They're on that property.
Yeah, well, the problem is the edge is on the 206 property and it has encroached on the property to the west.
The hedge is gone.
The hedge is gone out perfectly, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I had a concern from the landowner to the
yeah.
west.
So, Mr. Mayor, just if you haven't been by there and seen that,
Yeah.
the contractor was very good. And while the truck was filled, was hauled to Youngstown, the whole operator is still there. So he had discussions with Brent and said, I can pull these trees out for you. This carport out for you. So he's pulled the trees out. We're going to take the trees ourselves and take them to the burn pile.
No, he hauled them out for us.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay, that's news to me
The
then.
lot is cleaned up, he did a great job.
Oh, okay, okay.
But
Yeah, the trees are gone. That old canvas structure and stuff in the back corner is gone too.
Okay,
So.
awesome. Yeah, I just, like I said, came today, I went,
Yeah.
oh boy. So. Perfect. You just, I gotta get my motions here.
One
Well,
question,
no,
if I can first.
yeah.
For that meeting with the minister, is that just the two of you going, or sort of we all?
No,
pitch up to maybe-
what I've indicated to them is that we will have all 5 members of council who will be there, so.
There'll be over
There we go.
Well, before you get the introductions, yeah, they haven't told me, they haven't given me any limitations in terms of size, we only want 2, so I've indicated to them that I have 5 council members in attendance, including the mayor, so. So what we normally do, Mr. Mayor, is we'll go through all of the reports and then council can accept it.
Perfect.
So that's what I have, and there's no questions, we can move on to the next one.
Move on to the next one.
So do you want to go ahead, Lori? If there's anything you wish to add?
I don't think there's anything that I wish to add. I typically don't add unless it comes up. This is long for me. Mine are usually shorter, sometimes limited to stats from the website or social media, or what the highlights have been in terms of marketing over the past month, but I'm certainly open to questions if anybody has any.
Short and sweet, eh?
Sorry?
Short and sweet, eh?
Short and sweet.
It looks like you're good,
You're
so
good, yeah.
do you want to go ahead, Gwen?
Mr. Mayor, Council, I have a fairly lengthy report, try to give you a good snapshot of what happens within the department. One of the items coming up that council will want to know is the Dr. Jody Carrington event on December 7th. As I mentioned previously, that event has been rescheduled 3 times. We are running it as a rep program, which is the restriction exemption program, which allows us to, basically, we're going to try and fill the community center. People can come with a negative test or their vaccination. We are going to try and knock it out of the park. The comment is that people are wanting to have an event where they can get together, have a nice evening. We have approached the fire department to see if they would run a bar service with wine and coolers, perhaps something nice, light with perhaps snacks available for purchase. So the whole evening is going to be set up that the doors will open at 5:30. People will be able to come in, enjoy a little bit of a wellness displays, maybe have a glass of wine, snack, and listen to Dr. Jody. We're trying to work on a little bit of pre-speaker entertainment as well. So we're pretty excited about this. This has been a long time coming, and we think we can do it within the guidelines and have a really good event and not keep anybody out. It's a great way to move forward with something in our community. I think it'll be good news. Dr. Jody's going to be speaking on being your personal best. And so there is a language caution with it. Dr. Jody has been known to swear sometimes in her presentations, but she certainly hits the nail on the head and touches people both in the heart and in the mind. And so that's what we're hoping to do, is have a great presentation in the community. So invite council members. We had it on Eventbrite. So if you registered on Eventbrite, you have a ticket. So we're just going through logistically how we're going to do that, because some people signed up and they might have booked in 3 tickets and we don't have the names for those 3 tickets. And now that we're going to provide refreshments and snack, we want to let people know that. So I think we're going to roll it out that you will get a notice. If you've got a ticket already, a notice saying that we're inviting those people that were pre-registered to re-register with the actual names on the tickets so that we can open it up. We know that some people may no longer be able to attend. I mean, it's been a year and a half, 2 years. So not everyone who, their schedules have changed, they might not want the ticket now, and we want to open that up to people. So we're looking to put somewhere upwards of 400, 450 people in this building on December 7th.
Well, about that ticket then, council. You got that kind of numbers.
And, yeah, our new council representative has already offered to volunteer to help out that evening, so we're looking forward to that. But again, the Community Services Board, their volunteers appointed by council have offered and volunteered to help out with that event. We have staff pretty excited to be able to do something of this nature in the community too. So that's a highlight of one of the events programs that we're doing, but if there's any
She can't be
questions.
that bad. My wife didn't speak foully of her, so.
My understanding is she's very good, but she does swear a fair bit, so you need to be able to be okay with that.
What's your big boy pants on?
I have a question, so you don't have to do the 1/3 occupancy? Would you call it?
With the restricted exemption program, we can opt to have vaccination certificates or a negative test result or a medical exemption. And we are completely open to filling the building. We can serve food and refreshments. And I did check all this with our contact. I've worked very closely in the last 2 years with the COVID restrictions. I asked our public health inspector is probably tired of my emails, but he's always very gracious. And I asked him very specific questions. So we're quite within the regulations. We've double checked. So it's
Okay,
good
I'm just
news.
not
Yeah.
familiar. I just
Yeah.
keep up on it.
Yeah, that was basically their two options, either do that, which has its concerns for those who aren't vaccinated or don't want to pay for a test, but feel like they want to go to the event. But your other option is 1/3 capacity, masking, physical distance, and the board made a decision to go that way, so.
Thank you.
I've been approached by a few people from Hanna Minor Hockey. They have concerns that the restriction exemption will be invoked at, town facilities. I was happy to see no report. I'm assuming it's solely rumor mill. As I mentioned, no official
We've met
discussion.
with minor hockey, and we had a complaint, not from our community, but from outside of our community, that people were not adhering to the mask regulation within the facility. So 1/3 capacity means that we have no restrictions in numbers, just 1/3 capacity. We don't have to check for vaccination. We don't have to check for ID. We don't have to have negative tests. And we did that deliberately with our arena so that we know a number of parents or grandparents, for whatever reason, chose not to vaccinate. That's fine. We didn't want to restrict them from coming in. So this allows everybody to come in. The complication that it created was for minor hockey, because we're 1/3 occupancy, the concession is only allowed to operate as takeout only. So the rules are, I gave the comment to our CAO earlier, one of our honorable members of council. This is probably one of the most difficult 1.5 to 2 years that I've ever had in my 30+ years of working in this field, trying to navigate the regulations and the rules and work with a great community. So, that's been frustrating for minor hockey. That is a big fundraiser for them, that they're operate takeout or don't operate it. And so they opted, obviously they want to be able to allow people to come in. So we've tried to work with groups and organizations as best we can to have things still operating use.
So, yeah, in answer to your question, Councilor Olson, it's not something that administratively we've considered. Certainly, if we were going to make that change, that would be a discussion we would have with council and get direction from council before we make that change. We've made some adaptations and changes as we moved along, primarily from our 1/3 to a rep to be able to then be able to participate in the function, especially with adults, because adults can't participate unless it's in a rep program. So we've made some adjustments, but if we were gonna make a decision to move from 1/3 capacity to restricted exemption program, that would be a discussion with council and approval of council. But at the end of the day, that is a major change, and so we would we would not want to move forward without discussion with, our primary users of the facility. If our primary users came to us, Councilor Olson, and said, the rep program would work better for us than the 1/3 capacity, we certainly would bring that back to council for their consideration, but, we want to work very closely with our major users and implement the best system we can that works the best for them. So that, no, we're not going that direction.
The quick test is not available anywhere in Canada, correct?
No, Anderson does.
Oh, Anderson does have quick testing? Excellent.
And I believe I heard the rumor that potentially the new pharmacy was going to have that service as well, so.
That's Friday.
Any else information?
Perhaps. Any
So,
other,
okay, yeah.
go ahead, anything else?
No, I think if there's any questions regarding my report or the operation of the. Definitely, if anyone has any questions about any of the programs or the facilities, certainly ask. I'm happy to.
Okay. Director Wall.
Yes, thank you. I have nothing further to add to my written report. At the risk of confusing our new council members, I have a communique from Alberta Emergency Management Area Field Officer Randy Taylor with regard to changes to some of the field operations. As part of my job as emergency management or director of emergency management, I keep in touch with the government on that. And I would have to say that over this past year, there hasn't been a lot out of Alberta Emergency Management Agency other than things related to COVID. So it was a bit of a wildfire season, but it wasn't as devastating as it has been in the past. So, and as you know, Alberta has experienced many expensive natural disasters over the past few years. Many wildland fire departments were stretched to a fine, thin thread in dealing with these devastating fires, floods, and severe weather events. And all too often, urban structure fire and emergency first responders were pressed into service to aid the overworked crews at the time. Most of these responders volunteered and were eager to get into the game. Logistics tended to become a nightmare in dealing with the extra personnel and equipment brought by urban emergency management responders, and often when they self-deployed. So it appears that the government, through the Alberta Emergency Management Agency, has been busy mitigating the situation, have made some changes to field operations, and that is the kind of the gist of the communique that I gave to you there. And as a result of a restructure internal to municipal affairs, Alberta Emergency Management Agency is announcing that field operations will be building a new capability into regional field operations. And the intent of this capability is to support the integration of structural fire providers in Alberta, both municipal and industrial, into wildland urban interface response. So there are 3 full-time employees who will be transferring to the Alberta Emergency Management Agency from technical and corporate services in the government over the next few weeks. And these 3 people will join the team, and hopefully all members will be present then by December 15th. So this team will focus on the following task list of the Provincial Operations Center, structural fire ordering manager, municipal fire wildland urban interface capability list, industry vendor wildland urban interface capability list, support the build of structural protection program operational guidelines, and regularly liaison with wildland urban interface stakeholders. So work is already underway in preparation for the 2022 hazard season. So really what it boils down to is that when the wildland firefighting agencies are overwhelmed in that and require work when it comes close to an urban municipality bordering on a wildland municipality, and that those fires threaten those urban municipalities, they want a better response structurally to be able to go after those and assist the firefighters in those areas with more structural capabilities. So if you think of both the two big wildfires that we had in the past that threatened municipalities, urban municipalities, there were a lot of firefighters and volunteers that went up to work with those. And so they want a better organizational process and a plan in place to be able to better integrate those fire departments together. And so we as a municipality will have to decide whether or not we want our fire department to be able to deploy to something that if called upon in the future. And so that's really what that communique is all about. So the other thing, I have been trying to get a hold of our representative, Mr. Tiller, with regard to your training for your elected officials training and your basic emergency management training through the field officer. And I haven't had anything back from yet as to when we can set that up. One of the criteria for it, according to the information I got, and that's why I have a call into Randy, is to get clarification on that, is that if we do hold an in-person training session with a field officer to come down and train, they're requiring that all personnel there must be fully vaccinated. So I'm asking the question whether or not a rapid test would suffice for those who aren't, and I haven't heard back from them yet, so I'm waiting on that. And it was also coordinating with Glenn Duran, the Special Areas Fire Chief, as to whether or not a lot of the little municipalities in the special areas are considering the same training, whether or not we can coordinate. And I'm quite sure that we could offer our training facility at the fire hall to accommodate a little larger group to make it more expense friendly for the municipality. So once I get clarification on it, I'll report back through Kim to get that information out to council as soon as we know when those are available. I suspect that most of the municipalities now are looking for that type of training, so they'll be busy. But that is the criteria that I have, and I need that clarification because I know there will be folks that are not fully vaccinated. They may partially or may not have any vaccination at all. So hopefully, if they allow that to happen through their other operational things, that they'll extend that to this. So I was kind of worried that it was just that and that alone.
So, Mr. Mayor, just to follow up on that a bit, so I know Adrian mentioned the word training, you're gonna get sick of the word training, you've got a 2-day course, some of you are in Edmonton, some of you are in Three Hills. This is in addition to that, unfortunately, and it's specifically on emergency management and your role as an elected official in the event of an emergency. So that will be another training opportunity that we are pursuing to get made available to you, so.
It's scheduled for October 2025.
2025. Is that a special day for you, Brock?
Well, we'll be done by
I
that.
know. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, and we'll leave the talkative one, Mr. Olson, for last.
Speaking voicely.
Mr. Mayor and Council. I don't speak a lot, I write the report. If you have any questions, I ask a question, so I usually don't add anything to my report. I am today, however, just going to touch base. If you read the report about our lightning strike on our generator, the mechanic was out yesterday, and we now have our own generator back, so we will be, the rental unit was supposed to be taken away today, but nobody got a hold of it, so it must be coming out tomorrow. There's a few glitches. We're almost back to normal. Just a few things with our PLC we're still working on. Of course, that's all going through insurance. We hope, which it should be. It was definitely a ground fault due to the lightning strike this summer break. So that's just a little back and back to normal. And our new columbarium showed up today for the cemetery that was ordered and was placed, and my understanding has quite a few of it's already been sold. So those are two things that were on the agenda. I just wanted you to know, as well as the guy running the hoe is doing us a favor. Not only did he clean the trees up, but he is going to place the dirt for us because he has time in between the concrete. So instead of waiting for us with our own loader and packer, he's saying if we bring him the dirt, he'll place it for us. So he's helping us out there too, at, you know, just the cost of the demolition.
Brenda, did you take that tree down that's the brick thing?
No,
No, he didn't.
Why not?
He wasn't told to, I guess.
I thought it was growing through the roof of the house.
So if there's any questions.
Must be a very thorough report. Hey, recommendation for motion that council committee fight. Oh, we did this, yeah. Sorry.
other way.
Oh,
Jen Wonder.
I got it. Just hang on, everybody. Right there. Look at me go. Recommendation motion that the council accepts the senior administrative officials reports 8.01 to 8.05 as presented for information. Council Wallach, all in favor? I'm getting there, Kim. I'm learning.
You were doing well.
Yeah, 9.01, community service board member appointment. Recommendation that the council approve the appointment of Elaine Johnson to the community services board for a 3-year term ending October 31st, 2024. Councilor Olson. Discussion. All in favor?
Do we know anything about her? I'm sorry.
I know a little bit about her. She did attend the last board meeting and provided the board members with, she's a relatively new person to town, has sat on similar type of boards in other communities, and the board, community services board, met her and recommended her to council. So
Young, old?
that, I don't want to touch that one.
She's extremely young. She's probably around my age.
Oh.
And she does have
Thank you,
experience,
Gwen.
she does have experience working on a volunteer board with FCSS and other type boards, and very interested in becoming involved in the community, very much wants to contribute to our community. So that's always nice to have a newcomer that wants to be involved. And the board was quite happy with her participation at the board as well, at the meeting.
And I believe this same individual has applied to the library board.
Yes, council will see a
So
recommendation
she-
coming forward at the next meeting for the library. She was able to attend as a guest. So they forgot our council rep, but sorry.
They did.
They did. Felt very badly about that. So.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Human Services Board grants. Recommendation, council approves recommendation, Community Service Board to award the 2021 Community Services Grant in $3,000 to Katie's Corners Play School for $1,500. Purchase of educational blocks, the Hanna Seal Swim Club, $1,000, purchase of a computer, and the Hanna Municipal Library for $500 for special programs. Discussion.
I think someone needs to put that
Yeah,
on the table.
motion, sorry.
I can do that.
Sandra.
So yeah, I'll just give a brief history for those who aren't aware. So council for many, many years has provided community services board with dollars, and it's called Community Services Board Grant. to provide to local not-for-profits, not big money, but little money to help them with a few things. So the board has a process. They did advertise, they did get applications and reviewed them, met with the representatives from each of the groups, and at the end of the day, brought forward this recommendation on how to allocate $3,000.
So the question was, like a teacher at play school, is that one of these?
No, because she's not, Maria's not getting the 1,500.
No, I'm just asking money
Yeah,
because.
And you are neither.
Yeah, well.
So there's no conflict of
Okay,
interest.
I just wanted, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's good to ask.
Yeah. okay. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did this by accident before I got that myself. I was so excited.
No, but before we, usually we want a motion on the floor to start with, but when we're trying to set dates and provide dates, we know that we're pulling those out of a hat and they may not work. So basically, at the end of the day, what we would like to do is, they're called special council meetings. So we would like to establish special council meetings for the review and approval of our operating and capital budgets. So it's a 3-year operating plan and a 5-year capital budget. Council will accept or will approve the first year and accept for information years 2 and 3 in the 3-year plan. So it's not, even though you're approving a 3-year budget, it's not written in stone for those 3 years because things change and situations change. So we would like to have 3 dates. The first one I'm suggesting is November 24th, which is a date we already have set aside as a council information meeting. So that one we should be hopefully okay with. And the other ones, we just put a Wednesday down. We have alternated in the past with previous councils, whether they're morning, whether they're afternoon, whether they're evening. So those are all open for review. It's just these dates, especially the December 1st and December 8th, just to kind of get the ball rolling. So I'm not sure where everybody's at with those dates and times that were put forward. If council's good with those dates and times put forward, we can move forward. But if you have a commitment or a challenge with those, certainly it is an ability to be amended. So
if we're not available in person, can we connect through Zoom, or is there other means that we can connect?
yeah, we can. It's probably not as effective for you, but we can. If there's a date or a time that doesn't work though, like if, for example, December 1st, you'd rather meet in the morning and you'd rather meet in the evening.
9 p.m. budget meeting.
9 p.m.
That's way past my bedtime, as you already know.
Maybe 6 p.m. Council. But we just threw those out there. If they work, great. If they don't, we should amend them. It's, important that you're all there. You're setting the budget for the next year and potentially for the next 3 years. So we want to make sure everyone, is there and present and understands what's there. And there will be some, good discussion on the items that administration will bring forward. Council may have different perspectives, so it's important to be able to have everybody there to share their thoughts. So.
Ideally, myself personally, 1 o'clock would work better, but if everything works for everyone else, I'm pretty flexible.
I'm with you, I'm not there.
So when you say 1 o'clock, Mr. Mayor, is
For
that?
all 3 dates, the dates are fine. I
Well,
just-
we already have
Yeah,
the information
Oh,
on the
yeah,
8:30 and the
exactly,
24th. So, and what we'll do is I've also invited on the 24th, I've invited Mark Nakota to that meeting. So We probably would change the Wednesday, November 24th to 9:30, and we would have our council info session first. I would like Mr. Nakota to update you on all the activities that Harvest Sky is doing. They've got a number of projects they're working on. Some are coming to fruition, some are still in play, but I just want to have council have an understanding of everything that's out there. So we already have that info meeting set for 8:30. What I would do for the 24th is set the special council meeting at 9:30. And then if you want to change both the December 1st and December 8th to one, that's.
December 1st is already at 1 o'clock,
Okay.
on here, and then the 8th at 1 would work better for me. That's just my personal preference, but if you guys want mornings, we can, I have people.
I prefer mornings all the way across, but
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Oh, I want to 1 o'clock.
Okay, so we're gonna stick on Fred, what's your?
I'm flexible. Doesn't matter to me.
1 o'clock, right?
Council Murphy?
Yeah, I'm kind of.
What about
person.
I'm good with morning.
Morning. All right, I believe we have to have a vote with that.
Well, yeah.
Because we're,
You could decide.
you just agree.
oh,
I agree, we got it.
I would like 1 o'clock, I'm sorry, if that would work. Like I said, I can do either, or 1 o'clock would work best for me.
So then, does that
December.
Wednesday work? Those Wednesdays work?
Yes.
Is it December 8th? I'm not gonna be present. I could possibly be present, via Zoom, but other than that.
So is there another
Is
date
it
that week that
possible,
works?
can we, no,
That whole week is out, okay.
I'm just thinking the week before, we have joined 2 days, or is that not kind of?
Well, generally, we wouldn't be able to do it on the same day, because generally what we like to do is based on the feedback and discussion that we have, we go back and make some changes and then bring back the revisions. So we need a little bit of time to incorporate that. You could, if you wanted to, look at having it on if you wanted to do it on Friday the 3rd. But if that rest of that week's not good, because sometimes you could adjust, we could do the 6th or 7th of December, but if you're not available that whole week, then that's not gonna be able to be accommodated, so.
You're going to be done.
Well, the challenges we're want to prove it by the 14th, right? So I would suggest, unfortunately, Councilor Warwick, I would suggest we leave it at the 8th and we try to zoom you in some fashion. Okay. The other comment I want to make, Mr. Mayor, in regards to this is location. So we can do it similar as we are here. The meetings are smaller. Not all the directors attend the meetings. We did have a discussion at our directors meeting the other day that we could return back to our council chambers, because there would only be the 7 council members and myself sitting at the table. Rhonda will be there taking notes, but we can, this is no disrespect, we can put her off in the corner, and I know Lori's quite often there to run the live stream and stuff, so we can put 8 around that table and we still have some physical distancing. So that's an option if you want to go in there. We can go here, or we've done fire hall as an option. The other option that I want to throw out to, especially for the first one, and I don't know if everybody's comfortable with virtual, but virtual for the first one might be good too, because then as I'm going to be speaking most, I can have my screen up and people can follow my screen as I'm talking too. So that's another option.
Well, the first one is after organizational meetings, so we're not organizational.
Yeah, but we could have that virtual too. Mark could join us virtually and show his power. It's whatever you guys are most comfortable with. If you're more comfortable in person, that's fine. Okay?
We're gonna be there to get our
Binders,
package
yeah.
and binders and everything,
Yeah,
so.
no, that's fine.
My preference is live.
So location then. You have a preference?
to the fire hall and the town office is that there is the screen that it can be projected on.
It's in the town office, in the council chambers.
I'm okay with the council chambers. Does anyone have any concerns with the council chambers?
Okay, so when we do the motion, Mr. Mayor, that would be scheduled in the town office council chambers.
Yep.
And those dates and times.
Okay,
At 8:30?
Well, we'll go through, we'll read the motion, someone will, Dan will read the motion.
yeah, so, motion will read, special motion of council will be scheduled community, for the community center, town office for the purpose of reviewing the 2022 to 2024 operating capital budgets for the town of Hanna as follows. Wednesday, November 24th at 9:30 a.m. Wednesday, December 1st, 2021 at 1 p.m. Wednesday, December 28th. We agree on December 8th at 1 p.m.
Okay, the votes.
That's right.
You want a motion?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's right. Councilor Campion. All in favor? Opposed?
I have to pull something.
Carried. All right, we more. Budget demolition project amendment. Council recommends that the 2021 capital budget for demolition project from $549,749.70 be increased to $575,000 as a result of additional hazard assessment or hazard abatement requirements. The funds be delivered from accumulated surplus.
So I'll just provide a little background there. So you read in the report, I apologize, it's a long report, but I wanted to try and give those council members who weren't there in the first part of the discussion a little bit of the history. But basically, the original budget was $549,749, and it was based on the tender that was accepted in the amount of $459,749.70. We have estimated tipping fees, which are ours, because we get a better rate as a municipality from Big Country Waste. So we estimated the tipping fees based on the volumes at $40,000, and we did provide a contingency of $50,000 originally to bring us to that 549 figure. We knew going into the project, there were a lot of unknowns when you're dealing with hazardous material and hazard abatements and what you might find when you're actually tearing stuff apart, digging to the unknown. So we were going along really good. We only had one change order for some more testing. The contractor felt there was some areas in some of the buildings that didn't get a thorough enough review in the original report. So as a result of that, came back with was some asbestos material, more asbestos material than planned in the Seymour, primarily in the flooring and primarily in the leveling compound used to lay the flooring that had to be removed according to OH&S by high hazard, and that was an extra $63,000. Which put us over our contingency. So we're asking council to approve approximately $25,000 adjustment to that. It will still leave a little bit of dollars there in case something else happens. We don't have to come back and ask for more. To date, knock on wood, they feel they're in pretty good shape and they don't expect anything else yet, but the other unknown to a certain degree will be our tipping fees. Those were just based on estimated volumes, and Big Country will bill us based on the actual volumes. So if council would accommodate that, it would be appreciated. And if there's any questions.
Motion.
Did someone already? Yeah. I made
I'm
it.
sorry, Colin. All approved. Carried. The second motion, council authorizes administration to retain Craig Oil Field Services to take down the hotel sign at the Seymour as per their estimate of $2,500. The cost applied to the approved 2021, so this is included in
Yes.
that, demolition project budget, so it's not an extra $2,500. It is
On top of that 25, yeah, it'll be included in that 25.
What are we doing with the site?
Okay, it's going to the museum.
What are they gonna do?
They wanted to keep it and store it and have it as an artifact.
So Council Campion has made the motion, discussion, museum for storage.
I wanted to put it on your
Only if you're fixing the lights.
I had a call with a bar wanted it uptown.
Yeah.
Well, we've had, I had a call yesterday from a gentleman who wanted to know what was happening with it. He take it in a heartbeat, and he said he'd pay. I told him we were going to council to get authorization to spend money to take it down, to donate to the museum, and he said, well, if they don't want to do that, I'll pay for it. I'll take it down. So there's definitely interest. Pardon me?
Talk to museum, maybe they'll sell
Yeah, possibly.
I had a taxpayer phone me and told me he didn't care if we spent $60,000, get that thing down and get it to the museum. And I've had numerous calls on it, quite a few actually.
I mean, if
And that's where they want to see it go.
And that's fine, to me, and I'm relatively, I won't say new to the community, I've been here for 22 years. I did have a few beers in Seymour, it says hotel, it doesn't say Seymour, so that's where I kind of struggle a little bit with the sentimental value of it, I guess, for lack of a better term, but.
I think it's just Mayor,
Who?
Mayor Klaus.
You want to do what?
No, it's, just the arrow was sitting on top of that hotel since. That, I believe that hotel was built in 1912. I don't know what year they put the arrow up there, but it's been one of the highest points in the house. You know, I would say over a century or so.
Okay, so all in favor of the $2,500 sign removal? Opposed? Carried. COVID operating plan, wow, I hate that word. Council accepts the town of Hanna COVID operating plan updated November 9th, 2021 for information. Motion. Kyle. Councilor Wilson, sorry.
So, Mr. Mayor, I don't, previous councils have seen lots of these almost every time we bring back, if there's any changes. There really isn't any significant changes. We're moving forward as it explains in the report. Probably the newest thing that's going to potentially happen is the curling club is scheduled to start next week. With their curling program, the ice is almost ready. So that's new stuff. The Hockey Academy is starting next week. Sunday night men's league and noon hour drop-in hockey are operating, but numbers are certainly down because of the vaccination requirement to participate. Minor hockey figure skating club are operating pretty much as normal, having a normalish season, and Centennial Place again operating fairly normal. We do have we have implemented the restriction exemption program for some of the adult activities in the evening to be able to play. Community Center and Lions Hall have been impacted significantly by COVID. Although it was good to hear that Chamber of Commerce is planning a bosses party. So, but a lot of our larger parties and gatherings, staff council, November, December is usually the busiest time for this place with Stage Hanna, with Christmas parties. So it certainly is a different picture, but at least some are moving forward. Other than that, I don't know if there's any questions I'm prepared to answer, but I just try and update council when we meet monthly, if there's any changes or how we are operating, or council has any questions on how we're operating, we can try and answer.
Any questions of? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, carried. Council reports and roundtable.
So, Mr. Mayor, what we normally do here is, mayor will pick a counselor to start with and go around the table, and if there's anything that they wish to add to their report, they certainly can. I know Rhonda sent the template out to those new counselors and filled in what she knew of your reports. But we look to you guys to do that. Next time you don't, they can be handwritten and submitted to Rhonda, but she kind of had an idea from the organizational meeting what your schedule was gonna be like, but from now on, it's fair game when you're dealing with your committees and boards. We won't know when those dates are, so we'll look to you to fill those in. And it's up to you to provide as much information as you want in those reports or speak to it. We, certainly expect that if one of our boards and committees is undertaking something fairly significant, different, et cetera, that, that's brought to council's attention. If it's standard business, management business, operating business for your committee, then, there's generally not a ton to add, but just with that, we'll go around the table, Mr. Mayor, like we did with the directors.
Councilor Bodie, want to start? Not picking on you, but
That's okay.
Just a moment, please.
Oh.
I just want to be sure it takes a second to get the camera to focus because her voice is very.
So,
Oh, okay, I'll pick her up. It sounds loud to me.
are we,
Are you ready?
Okay.
You bet. Were you going to bring up something in regard to?
GFL? Yeah.
Okay, so I won't bring-
Yeah.
okay. I failed to add my boards on my report, so I was assigned Hanna and Blue, Harvest Sky, Municipal Planning, Council Regional, Municipal, and Emergency Advisory Committee. So that's well, and the demolition guys are doing a great job. I've gone by there about 2 o'clock and they had pretty much everything done, cleared away, so it's looking really good. And I don't have anything else. Anybody has any questions?
Councilor Olson.
Just quick highlights, the golf course after our AGM is dramatically reduced in average age, which is exciting, kind of shows what's changed there a little bit. The generation younger than me getting involved for a couple of seasons is nice. The Palliser Regional Municipal Services, we had our AGM today. Finished about 6:30, but I had to exit from. The highlight from that is the requisition is going to go up $900 from 32,000 and change to 33,000 and change for us. Significance from there for us. That's it.
Councilor Ward.
I had my first Zoom meeting with Palliser Economic Partnership, Quentin Randall. We went through the whole structure of the organization, sustainability. He introduced me to the two new initiatives that are on the table. He also went through all the assets, recommendations. He reviewed the board members and procedures with board policy. He also gave me a bunch of background information on structure and funding and a bunch of other information that was pertinent to this organization, and hence why I could not commit to December 3rd is we're possibly having a meeting that day. So I apologize for that. Otherwise, that would have been an opportunity for me to be present. But we discussed that meeting. That is not set in stone yet. They're just working on that. There's 40 board members that they have to work with. So yeah, I'm excited to be a part of it. Clinton was very, very knowledgeable and shared a lot of information. We were on the Zoom for about an hour and 15 minutes. So and it seemed to go very, very quick. But we had some great dialogue. And
Oh,
I've made contact with Eileen both at the doctor's clinic. That is, she hasn't returned call. Waiting on that.
Just for your information, Council Cole, I believe Eileen might be gone down south or heading down the south. But so do you want to maybe reach out to Ken Hansen? Ken would be, if you're not hearing from Eileen, maybe reach out to Ken and he might be able to provide some direction.
Murphy?
Excuse me, I'm a member of the Marigold Library Systems Board, and they have a small, they have a brand new building in Strathmore. So they invited me to attend on behalf of the town council for their new building. And it's spectacular, it's a beautiful facility, totally state of the art. We also had an orientation session that lasted a couple of hours where we went over what the Marigold Library System is and what they do and what's available to the staff here. I was surprised to hear that the new director was not aware that there's actually on-site training available in Strathmore for her. Were you aware of that?
Yes, we have been working with our new director to encourage her to connect up with Marigold. Marigold's been a great support for our volunteer board,
Yes.
as well as our previous directors. So I think our new director is just still finding her ground.
But it was just wonderful. I was so pleased at how much is available to us. There was a library board meeting last night and I was not invited. And you, Councillor Warwick, you mentioned the Palliser economic, was there a meeting? Because I was not invited to anything for that either.
He actually did a reach out letter to each of us, asking us to engage in a Zoom meeting. He asked us for dates and times. I indicated a date and time, said that worked for him. He said he had not heard that from the other two members as of that time.
I'm just the alternate, so, yeah.
So Sandra, you didn't hear anything from Glenn?
No.
Okay, good fault, because he got the same information from you and Council Warwick's information, so.
I will.
And I did get the same.
You got the same help from him?
I
So,
did.
okay.
And
I might have missed
if you just connect with him, he's excellent. He'll go through it, but he'll have this private little meeting with you when it works for you, and it's very, very good.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. But so that's all I have so far.
Councilor Campbell?
Yeah, correction on one that Ron put in there on my regular river users for the executive meeting is shown at 10:30 in the morning, the regular at 11 a.m. That regular meeting goes at 1 p.m. And then I have the Munis thing. I have a big country waste meeting scheduled for the 15th of December is the first one. I have the Red River from the section of it, so that's all.
For myself, I do thank Rhonda. I won't lie to you, I was a little overwhelmed with what, not sure what to put in, but I haven't seen somebody else's. I have been invited by the Legion to attend the Remembrance Day ceremonies. I originally had declined the invitation to speak. I have since reached back out to Mr. Ackerman and reconsidered his offer. I think it's very important that I throw my support behind the Legion. I took the easy road out and just said that, I'm not there for myself. And after thinking about it a little bit, I decided to partake. Other than that, fairly busy. Like I said, with the business I'm in, it's busy and it's busy everywhere it seems. So and as our topic 13 is upcoming, that would be one that we have to deal with. So. Okay. So need a motion to accept all the council reports as information. Cole's got his hand up way in advance. All in favor? Carried. 12.00 is correspondence.
So, you can put the motion on the floor, Mr. Mayor. Then what we've done previously is the mayor just basically went through them all and basically said, if you have any questions or anything, bring them forward, but other than that, he would just go through the list of the correspondence.
So the motion to accept correspondence items 12.01 to 12.06 for information. Sorry. So the first one is the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, thank you for Chris Warwick. Number 2 is Mr. Municipal Affairs, 2022 and 2023 MSI.
So,
allocation
Mr. Mayor, I'll
story.
just speak to that for a second.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get through this in budget time, but MSI capital dollars for us for the year 22 and 23 are going to be significantly reduced. Typically, they fluctuate up and down on the year, but probably over the last number of years, we've probably averaged about $500,000 a year. 2021, they allocated us 685. They were kind of front loading their 3-year plan. So our projections for 22 and 23 are 277,000. So significant cutback. The positive though still remains the operating contribution. We normally get a grant, an unconditional grant of about 150,000 for operating, and that looks like it will be the same as it was. So they haven't touched the operating one with capital. They've certainly reduced, and that again will be a topic of discussion at AUMA, I'm sure. So.
Questions? Number 3, Hanna Community Incentive Association donation.
So that was, Mr. Mayor, that was a surprise to us. So just so you are aware, there was a group that's been in town since 2002 called the Hanna Community Initiatives Association. Did a bunch of work fundraising for the skate park, the swimming pool, and Centennial Place. They've raised, as you can see in their letter, close to $1 million, over $1 million in their time. They have now dissolved. And they turned over their remaining funds, $19,253 to the town in trust to be spent at Centennial Place for technical upgrades. So that will go in our reserve, and if we're doing some technical upgrades, and I think what they mean by technical upgrades would be computers, because there's a lot of computers in the fitness area, in the dance rooms. So any technical upgrades like that, I think they would basically would be okay with us spending those dollars. I don't think they'd be okay with us spending those dollars on putting in a new furnace, but something on the tech side until it's going. All they want to know is what we spent it on. So go ahead, Councilor.
It's too bad it would be nice to give them some sort of acknowledgement, like
Yeah.
a photo op or something, with them presenting the money to yourself.
Or to the
Or
mayor.
to the mayor, sorry. For the work that they've done, because that's a huge amount of money to raise.
That might be an option. I can reach out. Like, I wasn't aware they were dissolving. I wasn't aware. I'm a little, disappointed they dissolved because, it's not an easy thing to set up a corporate registry and to be able to do that. So if they dissolved, if someone else wants to take up the charge for something down the road, they might have to start back up again versus inheriting that and moving forward. But I can speak to Mr. Visky and see if he'd be interested in that.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice.
Yeah, no, they did a ton of work and were very instrumental. Not so much since Centennial Place has been built, but up to then, they put a lot of time and effort in.
Mr. Mayor, is there not a plaque in Centennial Place? Highlighting? I mean,
Probably.
I recognize it as a Centennial Place at the skate park, and we've done other initiatives since then, but I think there's a plaque in Centennial Place
Yeah,
that identifies those individuals that were a part of that organization and the fundraising.
And I think it's important, if I may, I think it's important to remember that some of the volunteers were the same on the 3 projects, but some of them were not. So you don't want to risk forgetting somebody.
Well, and regardless, the fact that they're dissolving, that was then, maybe. Good thought.
Telus Municipal Council, thank you. Berlin Distribution Board highlights on page 21. For the Pride newsletter, volume 7, issue 1, October 2020.
One thing I'd like to interject with TELUS Municipal Council, it says they're gonna reach out in a few weeks to discuss the presence in our community. I don't know what that would entail, but piece of information. I just don't want to be stuck where we were years ago with awful internet. Right now we're good, we're almost in the lead. 10 years from now, I feel like TELUS is just gonna ignore rural Alberta again. Opera served for 100 years, Opera might serve for 100 years, but it'd be nice to have a conversation with them, and I mean, I think for AUMA as well, just to make sure we're not left behind again for many years.
I know TELUS is doing a lot of work in Acadia Valley, Consort, and Cereal right now with putting fiber in. They have, correct me if I'm wrong, they own the fiber to town here now. And I've heard that there is some concerns that they're talking about. Hearsay for that. Anything else?
I think the motion was on the floor.
Yeah, I just need to vote. All in favor? Carried.
So now, Mr. Mayor, with the amendment to 13, we have got the motion, and I think Ron wrote it up for you.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Captain.
Yeah.
The council moved into a closed session at 8:24 p.m. to discuss the agenda item 13.1 land matter as per OIC section 16.
Before you go into closed session, you're just live for the moment. Will you be coming out to make a motion? Will you go?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not sure.
Just a moment, please.